Welcome guys, I hope you're well. We are getting straight to the point today. Today we're talking about my Kona learnings. I've been twice on a big island, consulted a lot of coaches, fellow athletes that were there, age group world champions that were there, and pro world champions that were there. I got all the tips to this date and I will share them with you today. So we are going to split this video into 4 sections today. You can just skip one if you don't like the first one, for example. You can just skip right ahead. You can see it below in the video. Go to swim, bike, whatever interests your mode. So the first one is going to be about the time leading up to the event. Any tips, anything you should avoid, not just from me, from people I talk to. Mark Allen, 6-time world champion, for example. So the time leading up to, even on the big island itself, what should you avoid to not be sick on race day? Some really good tips that can make the best race on the island. And then of course we're going swim, bike, run on the course. There's a lot of little tricks that you have to know on the big island to get the best out of you. So kicking off with the first one, leading up to it, Mark Allen, 6-time world champion, said his words: you have to be fat in July if you want to win Hawaii in October. So what he meant by that is it's a very long season. It's mid-October. Most of the guys, pros for sure, will start racing as early as April, maybe March. Age groupers kick off often like with a home race somewhere in April, depending where you're from, which hemisphere. But you're gonna have a long season, and if you go very hard, most likely most of your age groupers, for example, and pros will have worked a lot to get the qualification alone. So 50% of the field that is on the big island is actually cooked, maybe more, maybe 70% is already cooked when they're there. You are going into a race with extreme conditions. If you haven't been there, it's hazardous, it's a tough place. Even on a not hot day for Kona, which we didn't have in a long time. In the past, what I've seen on footage and people talking, it was way more extreme than it was in last year's. Climate change and all that. Also what Christian Blumenfeld said, he went to Tokyo, he knew, hey, Olympic Games, everybody is so hyped up, just like you. If you qualified for the event first time, or you want to win your age group, you want to have a good top 10 pro result, whatever the goal is. He said, for example, the reason why they won Tokyo, one of them was, he said he actually trained 5 to 10% less. Everybody trained 10% more, didn't make it to the start line, just like what you see now. Lots of pros, they feel like they already cooked what they showed on social media and everywhere. Heat prep there, heat prep there. It sounds like there's a lot of stimuli. They're nervous for the heat, which they should be. But the best tip from Craig Alexander, what he said, arrive as physically fit as possible on the island. Having said that, don't be overcooked. Super easy, and it's easier said than done, because if it was easy, everybody would do it. It's not like the pros don't know that, but it's a very fine line between having a great race and between walking. Because once you get your core temperature up just 1 degree more, maybe 2, your core temperature, you will not get it down again. You can put as much ice as you want on it. That's a consequence of racing in a race like that, where it's extreme heat conditions. In a race like Central Europe, where it's 25 degrees, you can come back from it. You will not overheat like that. But if you're blasting it up somewhere in the race, even in a swim, if you're really drilling it, you will not get that core temperature down and you will walk. Then let's get a bit closer just before the race. Let's say you landed on the island. You should be at least 8 days before. That's kind of the minimum, especially coming from Europe. There's a massive jet lag. You will have most likely 12 hours jet lag. So the first 4 days are more or less gone for jet lag alone. Everything's changed. You're eating maybe even a burger in your time in the middle of the night. Your gut is messed up. Everything's strange. So you have to get used to that. But 8 days does work. It's not optimal. Every single age group I talked to that actually won there, which were 4 of them, they all arrived. They had one thing in common. They all arrived 3 to most of them 4 weeks before on the island. That's something most likely people can't afford anymore nowadays. In the past was easier. Now it's so crazy pricing that people have to go somewhere else. So me, for example, I will for sure do something like Texas, so you get the heat, the humidity, but those are all luxury problems if you want to perform to your absolute best. If you come just before, just a few tips for training on the big island. If you run an alley drive, every single run, which most of you guys will have a hotel on that alley drive, know that the alley drive, because of just that the water floods off into the sea, we come another one for that, it is built like this. So if you run on it, you will see no matter which direction you run, you're always running a bit tilted. So if you run 1 or 2 weeks straight completely on that, there are people that got some pelvis weird knee thing going on, had last hard intervals on the big island on this weird surface, which you at home, for example, would never do. You would do something else. So try to find a track on the big island. There are some, don't go to the highway, but there are some roads, for example, close to the airport there's a flat road. Go there, do your intervals there. Just find a place and don't only run an Ali drive. Then quick tip for the swim. Just before I talked about this curving Ali drive, this roll being built like this. What happens is when it rains, actually the locals, lots of locals, and also people that raced before, world champions, they do not go swimming in the ocean after it rained. The reason for that is because all the rain, it puts all the dirt and whatever is on the road into the water, and in that bay kind of area where most people swim, actually a lot of people got sick just from that. One year I think there were 5-6 people really like vomiting on the bike to start and really got sick, and they all swam before. So we do love the ocean, you have to swim in it, but maybe the last 3, 4, 5 days try to avoid it if you can, or for sure don't go after it rained. Just leave it. There is a beautiful pool there. Go there, swim there, and get your workouts in. All right, now we're coming to the actual race. Let's kick off obviously with the swim. So the swim, it starts, as everybody knows, there's this Kona pier. Along there is a line. They will put 2 massive buoys, most likely from Roka there. In between there, age groupers will line up. There will be several waves. By now it's 2 days. But you have to know, in that bay there is a current itself. At least it's said to be so. From trustworthy sources, they said it is there, and I felt it myself when I tried it. So there are different things. So it depends a little bit first how comfortable you are with that swim start. How is your takeout speed, for example? Because if you're in that first row, you have to know, even with age groupers, there are going to be top guys there. You have to be able to swim that first 100 in 60 something seconds, and maybe the 200 as well. You gotta get out there, otherwise you will get swallowed. But before we start swimming actually, so in that bay you have, if you're close to the pier, you have to imagine there's a current. So if this is a pier, there's actually a current going around, and it pushes you out along the pier. Where all the bikes are, that current pushes you out on that side. So a lot of people want to be actually close on that. So you have that line, they want to be closer to the pier because of the current pushing you out on the swim course. So there's pros and cons to that, because if you're on that side, you imagine if you go along the course, there's like the first turnaround is to the right. So if you're swimming on the very right side of the field, you are going to be on the inside line of that first turnaround buoy at around halfway roughly. So you are going to probably get a bit squashed in that corner later on. So you might gain a few seconds at the beginning, but later, who knows, you can be unlucky, somebody kicks you, or like you have to swallow water, who knows, just be aware of that. Then you can start in the middle of the field. There's pros and cons to that. If you start in the middle, obviously you have left and right guys. There are several rows of people always swimming. So if you're in the fourth row, you have to know, okay, you still got to be able to swim around 59 minutes, something like that. Level may have risen, and still the first 400-500 meters are going to be dirty. Even with the age group field split up, there's going to be people everywhere. Everybody is on a similar level of swimming. For example, I think in 1 year, there were, from the whole 2,000 something starters, 500 people, 1/4 of the field, came out between 60 and 64 minutes. You can just imagine how crowded that gets. So that's a very common swim time for good age groupers, is between the 58 to, let's say, 64 minute mark. That's around the 1:30 mark. A lot of people can swim that, so don't expect to swim away from anybody swimming 1:30 per 100 in the pool. Then you can go on the very left side of the field, so far away from the pier. Lots of pros there. For example, if you just want your peace, you know you're a good swimmer, or you just in general want to stay away from all the hassle, you will have maybe a little bit less direct line to the buoy, but on the other hand, I think just doing your own stroke, being in peace, not wasting energy with breath and stress and hormones because of all the adrenaline kicking off, might be just the fastest swim time for you. So you gotta decide where you wanna start of the 3 I just mentioned, to the very left, in the middle, or close to the pier, but make sure you are somewhere in a row where you think you can be. If you swim 65 minutes or even 60 minutes and you are in the first row, you will have a rough day. So if you're in the first row, you gotta be sure that you swim in the open water without wetsuit 52 minutes for sure, and you gotta have a very high takeout speed. Otherwise the guys from the back are gonna swim over you. Good, now you're in the swim, you did the first 300-400 meters, you got the takeout speed, you are in a pack, most likely the first half of the course, you're just gonna be in a pack and there's nowhere to go. So after the initial phase of speed, you're just gonna be in there. Even if you wanna swim faster, slower, you can't. There's a guy on your right, guy on your left, front and back, or ladies. There's gonna be people and arms everywhere. You're most likely not gonna be able to have full, clean strokes all the time. Expect that is normal, but just make sure it's an Ironman. Take the first half kind of controlled after the takeout speed, because what will happen, and will happen in the bike and run as well, we come to that later, after about halfway, let's say after 2,100 meters, the first apples will start to drop 100%. So you will be, before you are in a group, people all around you, you're doing the exact same stroke, the exact same effort, but for some of those guys, they're swimming over their 80%. They're swimming over threshold, they're still in the group, but then at some point, they're just burning their matches and they will drop back 100%. So expect, if you want to be strong in the swim in Kona, be patient, and after 2,000 meters, you can say mentally as well, hey, after the turnaround, after went around all the boats, the way back, sometimes or most likely you will have some current against you coming back, but it sometimes changes. But then you want to be the strong woman or strong man and really up the effort, keep the stroke clean and push it until they're at the pier. There can be waves in the water as well, so the buoys might not always be the best thing to scout for in the water for open sighting. Lots of guys that are in Kona right now, they probably swam the course before. You should always check for landmarks. So swimming out will not be so much of an issue. Everybody's in one go, there's one boat. Not so much an issue, I believe, but on the way back, you have to aim for, there's like a tower or even the church tower of Kona itself. If you don't see the buoys or anything, then you can look for that. In the past, there was also some massive Gatorade bottle, yellow blown up kind of bottle on the pier, on the Kona pier, so you know the direction. There is going to be something, so just have a look for that. Don't rely on the buoys, especially don't rely on other guys' feet, and because they will go off left and right, you will have no idea.
Yeah, I really hope I win because, wait, what is this again? I have no idea what's going on.
Even great swimmers, I just had an Ironman Kalmar myself, great swimmers, he pulled another 10 guys in a completely wrong buoy. He just went off, I had to go over them to the right direction. So always make sure you're swimming the right way. Doesn't matter how fast you swim, if you take the shortest line, you're gonna be out of that water quick. All right, you're at the pier, you breathe to the left, you hear the spectators screaming, you realize again, oh my God, I'm in Kona, this is so exciting. This is gonna be a moment to soak up to as well. You're gonna be there soon as the volunteers are gonna help you out of the water. You're going up those famous steps with a red carpet. You finish the Ironman swim, the 3.8K, 2.6 miles. You're in transition, there's gonna be a little water hoses to get the salt water off. Just rinse your face, that's more or less it's what you need. Run straight through, change, get to transition, know where your bike is, run to it, and then hop on the bike. All right, let's talk about the 180K bike ride, the longest section of the Ironman, and that's actually the part where most people ruin their race and the marathon after. It's not running too fast in a marathon that gets them. Most people, 80% or whatever, that walk will ruin their race in that 180K stretch on the Queen K highway. So everybody talks about patience in Ironman. In Kona it's a whole nother level. Even for the pros, they will this year blow up in so many pieces. 100%, it's gonna be absolute savage. You can watch it, I am certain of it. So many blow-ups, I think more than ever before, because great swimmers and they're gonna be all together, push each other. Some of them already half cooked and they will blow. But you're not gonna, because you try to be smart, like Craig Alexander said, you have to be patient. and he won a few titles. He knows what he's talking about. So remember, let's say you are that guy that swam between 60 and 64 minutes, so 1 hour or 1 hour 4, and you're coming out of the water. You are gonna be with 500 people that can just bike like you. Maybe you were the star at the Ironman you qualified for, and there were like 5 or 10 guys that could bike like you, maybe something between 5 hours. Most age groupers will bike between 4:30 and 5 hours to qualify nowadays. And it was great, and it is a great achievement, but know that almost every single one that's standing next to you coming out of the water can do the exact same as you.
I'm not special? I thought you always said I was special.
So what that means is the first stretch of course, first 10K are in town basically. So you're going through town left and right. Some people are gonna surging and try to get away from people, but that is, I think, the wrong time to do that. You just came out of a swim, your body goes from horizontal. Your body goes from horizontal to vertical, and your body's already busy with that. So you want to give your heart rate a little bit of a slowdown. Of course, you gotta stay with groups and stuff, but realistically, just like in a swim, the first half, there's nowhere to go for you. You cannot surge your way, even if you do 400 watts, people will be with you still, because they're just gonna be behind you. So that's a bit the problem nowadays. That's why they split it up. I hope it made it better now. It's the first year. The highway was each year too full, too many people. They are just at a very close level, all physically, and they do almost the same until the last half of the marathon. They're kind of similar in the last ranges, plus minus 10 minutes. So that means that people, I want to be staying together. So I had that problem in 2016 and 2018 actually. The highway is just so damn full, there's nowhere to go. There was a massive group, and some of them are extremely disrespectful, and they're just really, they're ruining the sport. They're the problems those pictures exist, because it's still a choice to draft and not to draft. Please don't be one of those guys that just looks around, oh, everybody's just sitting in. There were literally coffee rides, people sitting up, going 40K an hour in groups of 30s, and they try to get away from them, put a massive effort in for 5 minutes. 5 minutes later, they're coming again. So eventually you probably have to let that group go. It's gonna be sucky, but if you're in that group, you are one of the drafters. So don't be that guy. So just like in a swim, the first 90K, so until the halfway point in Hawaii, you have to be patient. Everybody's gonna go out too hot. I promise you, everybody's gonna go out too hot. They're just so motivated, so fit, so tapered that the first 90K feel like nothing. All the race plans, watts, whatever, out the window. I'm racing, this is great, I'm in Kona, this is gonna be amazing, such an easy event. It's not that hot yet either. But let me tell you, it's funny, I just did my thing until 90K most days, and even mentally I said, after 120K or so, then I push. So even going down Hawaii, it was absolutely fascinating. You wouldn't believe that those guys qualified for Kona. They were behaving like absolute rookies. It's really funny because they could barely pedal 100 watts going downhill Hawaii. There we talk about the next trick as well. Let's say you're on top of Hawaii. There's gonna be down Hawaii, probably a 20-minute stretch where you have to be on your bars, holding your bike for dear life with crosswinds and everything. So that means you will not be able to drink. Even with that straw in the front there, it's gonna be dangerous to do that. So that's only option if you practice that. That means that once you arrive on top of Hawaii, there's also a special needs station on the turnaround point. Always drink a lot, pre-drink, drink 400-500 milliliter, cool yourself, knowing that, hey, next 20 minutes downhill, I'm most likely not gonna be able to drink anything. All right, we are on the way back towards town. On the way back, let's say 120K. On the way back, or even on the way there, again, talking about drinking, the basic tip everybody knows, I don't have to say this, to cool yourself, hydrate. It's not really a tip anymore in Kona. It's basically a given. But when to hydrate? There's a lot of crashes and because of the crosswinds. So if there's no clouds, for example, in the morning around the mountains there, you know it's gonna be a very windy day. There's always gonna be predictions how windy it is and stuff, but you have to know when to drink. There's each year guys crashing and being blown off the roads because they don't know when to drink. What I mean by that, the highway is carved through stones. You see when you do a practice ride, or you see it in the videos, every now and then there's those stones on both sides, and they basically cut the highway straight through those massive stones. What that means that when you're in between those stones, you're wind protected. So once you come out of the stones, so you could be, for example, deciding just before you go in between those stones, I'm gonna have a little drink now, which means you're on one hand on the handlebar. Then you're coming just out of those limit of the stones, massive side winds, one way on the bar, and you're blown off. So really be smart about when you drink, that you really have control of your bike, know with the gusts and all, don't take any risk, sit up. There were years that were so strong people had to get off the bike, but it was in the 80s. I think those extreme crosswinds are over, maybe not, but I think in last years we haven't seen them anymore. All right, you're 140K in, almost the whole ride, last hour or so of the race left. Now it's a time for you to be strong, and now again, latest now, all the apples that overdid it, that overcooked it in training, that did something too hard early, that just a season too long, mentally, whatever the reason, then the race starting to get tough. You're on that highway, you're just looking for the airport. Oh, where is the airport coming? Because then you know you're kind of close to town, but it's a long, hilly, and especially on Kauai High as well, there's this uphill. There you have no wind for the first time after Hawaii. It's damn hot. Then you start to realize, oh my God, I'm dripping down with sweat. The body's trying to do everything to cool myself down here. So always at each aid station, you do not ride past any aid station, please. Grab a bottle, even if you have enough water on board, cool yourself. On the big arteries, that means, for example, on the neck is important, in the groin is important, and under the helmet if you can, things like that. You maybe have a little hole here in the helmet, put water in there, even if it runs down your face, which means super important, don't put sun lotion on the forehead of you unless you practice it, that you know, okay, it kind of works. But if you have water, sun lotion here, for example, on the top of the head, yes, you might get a sunburn, but better than having sun lotion because of the water dripping down in your eyes and you can't see for 10 minutes. So that's kind of sunburn versus not being able to see. You're going back into town, again, the atmosphere is coming. Now it's again the same thing as swimmer's bike. You have to be extra patient now. You're going off the bike, there's gonna be some guy that takes a bike from you. It's special at the event like that. You get your own bike handler, you run through transition, and then you notice the first 2 strides, how are the legs feeling, are you very tired or not? But then you go into your running gear, run up the hill, and now is the time where the other 80% that walk mess up their race. The reason is the first 16K on Ali Drive in town is gonna be running through a football stadium. It's like you're the NFL star that's walking in, the quarterback, and they're cheering for you. That's how you're gonna feel. What that means, again, everybody that had a race plan is running considerably quicker than that, just because, oh, they're hyped, they're feeling good. So it's a 16K out and back until you're back in town on Palani Road, this 400 meters steep road up until you're on the Queen K Highway that leads into the lava fields. So the first 16K, everybody's gonna go too fast. Almost everybody. So what that does is you might raise your temperature by 1 degree and your race might be at 25K total. So again, be extra patient. Look for your heart rate, look for your paces, be in control, accept that people are gonna be blasting by you, you are gonna see them again, and if you don't see them again, they're just extraordinary runners and deserve not to be seen again. So don't race another guy's race, it's not possible here. If somebody runs 30 seconds quicker than you, he's either gonna blow or he's a fantastic runner. Either way, it shouldn't be your concern. Alright, 16K, you're starting at the bottom of Palani Hill, you're going up Palani Hill, there's still people cheering of you, but then you start to notice, oh wait a second, this hype is beautiful, but I still have to run a damn long stretch until I'm back here to the finish line. And once they're on top of Palani Road, that's where most people crack mentally. Suddenly it gets very, very quiet and you see this highway ahead. Not many people cheering or anything, it's just you and your brain, and you can see basically the next 10K rolling ahead and your brain often starts to shatter. So be ready for that. Be ready for top of Palani Hill. When you're running on Ali Drive, don't think about this is so beautiful, of course soak it in, but control your emotions, because you have to know once you're on Palani Road on the top, that's where the race starts. Everything before is kind of like a controlled warm-up, and then your mind, your mental capacity is asked. I think training in that point is important, of course, but being able to stay in the game, look 2 meters in front of you, run focused, do your own thing, don't allow your brain to go, oh god, it's 8k left, 7k left, and then you're only at the energy lap. The famous energy lap in a later part of the race. I think when you're coming out of the energy lap, which is like a laboratory, it's like known to be very hot because it's kind of like in a little valley built. Down there the heat kind of really gathers up. Mostly it's no wind down there, and it's kind of also the point in the race, like almost towards 30k, when you notice if you paced it well, did the hydration well, and even if you did it all well, that's where you start to go in the real hurt box. So again, be ready for that. Expect that pain, expect that shock when you're running down in there. Even if you're still feeling great, okay, that's a nice surprise, but expect that around that time, just like you would expect in a normal qualifying Ironman that you did around 25-30k, it starts to get real. Nothing to do with the energy lap per se. Of course, that makes it a bit tougher because it's hot down there, but any Ironman at that time gets tough. So that's where men are made, or strong women, and the ones that didn't pace it well and don't have the mental gut to go deep, they will go backwards. If you want to feel like Eliud Kipchoge running along incredibly fast, pace it well. If you're running out of the energy lap, then you're around 32k, you have around 10k left until you're at the finish line, then you should be running really strong. If you run, let's say you're 4:30 minutes per k still over the rolling hills, you're gonna feel like Eliud Kipchoge because everybody is gonna be going backwards. Most of those guys are blown by those guys. If you still keep fast jogging, something you did on Ali Drive back then where everybody passed you, if you do a similar pace, you're gonna be absolutely flying by everybody. But it's still too early to get excited, but now you gotta grunt it out. You really gotta dig in. Don't expect anything to feel great. This time is the hardest time of the day, the most suffering. Here you should be around a 9 out of 10 suffering in whatever way that is, mentally, muscular wise, whatever. It's gonna be the worst time of the whole day. Expect that. All right, you're doing the rolling stretches, and then you have that last uphill that leads to the top of Palani Road. That's the time around where the last 3 kilometers start. Mentally, you should get ready for, let's say, finish sprint, because your mind will think, oh, I just want to finish. If you're really one of the few guys that want to prove to themselves, hey, I can overcome myself, I can be stronger than this race course, then you want to be digging down mentally even more in those last 3k. You're going to be running strong down Palani Road, but then it's still a long stretch. It's still almost 2k, but you're almost there. You got to finish it out. You're doing 2 right turns, and then it's the last 400 meters with the famous tree running along to the finish line and getting your deserved finisher medal and having most likely one of the most spectacular finish lines you ever did in your life. Okay, that's enough for me today. Maybe some predictions for the race. My one prediction is, without a name or anything, is that they're gonna be more blow-ups than most years before, I believe. I think they're all gonna fall back because the level is so high. They're gonna race each other. So many rookies on the island, even people that were there 2019, their brains maybe forgot how challenging the environment is, and they're gonna go extremely hard. The Norwegians would deserve it, obviously, but they had a very, very long stretch of racing back to back. Could imagine that they're tired, maybe not, they pulled it off before and they're fit in the heat as well, but Kona is a different animal. I think some old veterans are still gonna do well. I really hope Joe Skipper would win it. He's such a great guy, he would deserve it. He's a true champion on all sides, so it really deserves him to take it home, run out everybody's going backward. He's a super strong guy, mentally, physically, did the work, and I want him to crush everybody. With the women's, Daniela, easy bet, but you never know what happens, but I think she did all the work, so I'm super excited and hope that she has a great race on the Big Island. Hey, I'm checking out. If you liked the video, leave it a like, and I see you next week. Ciao. Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. You can really help me out if you like and subscribe, push your notification bell, comment below what you want to see next, and I see you in the next video.